I'm glad to be part of Smart TV.
All right, I'm seeing some designs on your uniform. What do they mean?
Well, we call it a rank, which would be a level of position. My rank is Commissioner of Prisons, and my office is Corporate Affairs. In the prison ranking system, I am at level 4 from up, because there are about 16 levels from down, but now I'm at level 4 to the top.
Mr. Frank, we are here to talk to you about what's happening in prisons, about the skilling projects that you have in there. But first and foremost, please tell us about the prisons population.
Okay. Well, maybe for the purposes of listeners, understanding is that Uganda Prison Service is an agency of government and the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And our function is to keep and rehabilitate the inmates and have them rehabilitated. Right now, if I could give the background, we have a population of convicted prisoners, 35,593. We have the unconvicted prisoners, whom we call remands, 34,600. We have civil prisoners, whom we call debtors, 265, giving us a total of 70,458. These are these are being kept in 260 prison units, and these are divided into 17 regions. They are being kept by 12,847 staff. One maybe of the unique category is that we have 2,814 women of these 70,000 prisoners. That is something like 1.8% of the prison community are women prisoners. And the mothers who have their babies, the babies are 270. Those are with their mothers in prison. For either they came pregnant or they delivered soon after reaching prison. And those ones, normally we keep them up to about 2 years, and then the relatives or the NGOs come and pick them. Now, our capacity is supposed to be 20,000, but unfortunately for now, we have 70,000 inmates. That tells you where we are supposed to keep one person, we are literally keeping about 3.5 people. So that gives you the congestion levels, which of course impacts on many other things, but that's the level we can manage. Now, before we can talk about the benefits of the rehabilitation, like I prefer to...
just a short one.
Yeah, I prefer to...
Among those 70,000 prisoners, do you have foreign prisoners among them?
Yes, we have about 1,000 foreign prisoners, and most of them come from the neighborhoods. Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Congo, and some of them, the majority of them are related with fishing issues and illegal entry, because you know our borders are porous, but leave alone our ethnic groups cut across. When you go to Tororo, you will find that somebody has a family in Kenya and another family in Uganda, or the cousin.
Someone actually could be even sleeping in Uganda but working in Kenya. Someone sleeping in Tanzania.
Yeah, we actually, the highest level we have reached is when the vice president of Kenya was a brother of somebody who was a minister in Uganda government. So because of that, it becomes very easy for people to be mixed up in this. Even what we call cross-border crime, it becomes common because of such arrangement. So we have about 1,000, but the majority are neighboring. The other ones from far, they are these who are related with the migration issues and drugs. But these other ones are for many other situations. Like I said, we need to highlight the function. Prison is one of the 4 functions of the prison service, is to ensure that every prisoner detained illegally in prison is kept in humane, safe custody, produced in court, and when required, until lawfully discharged or moved from the prison. That is function 1. Function 2, to facilitate the social rehabilitation and reformation of the prisoners through specific training and education program. 3, to facilitate reintegration of prisoners into their communities. Now, it is out of these functions that we have the categories, the 35,593, those we are keeping them because they are still going to court. And that's why they are called remands. It means court has sent these people to us for custodial reasons and temporarily, and they keep going to court and coming back. Of course, some stay longer because of the nature of the cases. Some cases are petty. Those ones we are supposed to stay only 2 months. If the trial has not kicked off, you get mandatory bail. But the other capital offenses, those ones they are giving 18 months. When the trial has not kicked off, you are supposed to be mandatory bail. But unfortunately, if within those months you have been committed to the High Court, then you wait for the next convenient session. That's where people stay 1 year, 1.5 years, waiting for what? Trial. That one is a matter of the law. We have nothing to do. Now, the second category, which is highlighting the issue of skilling, is what we call the function number 2, rehabilitation. What are the key? There are a number of rehabilitation programs which we call sentence management. Now, rehabilitation is strictly to this person who has been convicted by court to serve a term of imprisonment or to serve a sentence. The other remand person is just there kept for safe, secure custody. But the convict is in prison to run a sentence.
So even if you're on remand like for 2 years, you don't undergo the skilling projects?
What you do, you can do it, but we don't call that rehabilitation. You are just buying time to finish off your case. Because the laws of Uganda are clear. One has to be found guilty, and everybody is innocent until found guilty. Now, if the person has not been guilty, you don't have grounds of rehabilitation. But because they are human beings, they benefit from these programs. For example, somebody is on a defilement, he hasn't been tried, but he was in senior 2. So when he's in prison, says, no, let me continue with my education, even if I am waiting for what? For trial. And a number of them have been lucky that by the time the trial is done, this person has finished the senior 4, he actually leaves the prison when he's going with a pass leave to go for further studies. But that one has not been rehabilitated because he was still on remand. Now, a person who is convicted for being guilty of an offense allegedly committed is handed over to the prison system to ensure that they reorientate the mind, they reform the mind, and this person goes back after serving the sentence as a useful citizen. That is what we call rehabilitation. The most 5 important rehabilitation programs include what we call functional adult literacy. Because research showed that about 80% of our people cannot read or write. So, and some of the crimes they commit is because they are not able to read or write what they are.
But can you, for example, can you commit the crime of defilement because you don't know how?
No, but don't look at defilement alone. Criminal trespass. Yes. Yes. For example, if I don't read and write, it may be very difficult for somebody even to ask that, how old are you? Yeah? Somebody may just determine the age by looking at the physical features, and because of that, it ends up in problems. So there are mistakes which people commit just because of ignorance. Even ignorance of the law. You see, when school also helps you to, when you get a law book, you can read it. But if you can't read, you don't know what is right and what is wrong.
But Mr. Frank,
yes.
For sure that one I cannot believe it.
I am telling you, for example, a Karamajong will kill because culturally killing is acceptable, and then you can pay 60 cows or they kill from your family. But what does the law say? When you kill, you're supposed to be sentenced to death. But because this Karamajong has never read a book that talks about the laws of Uganda, he will go ahead with him. He thinks he's doing the right thing. But that's why you hear they are doing raids. Why do you think they are raiding? By the way, when you ask them, they are not doing any problem. With them, that's a cultural practice.
But then where is the weakness? Is it doing it just sensitization and maybe also changing these laws into our local languages? For example, in Runyankore, in Lubara, different languages.
The whole thing is about sensitization. Actually, if we can promote universal, the purpose of universal education was to have everybody study. But you see, still it has problems. It has
problems, of course.
If 10 million people join P1, only 1 million crosses senior 1. So that tells you that the purpose it's serving is questionable. Now, one of the things to help is that to understand, you see, even reading this Bible or a Quran, reading and writing helps you to understand things. And it changes your perspective in the way things are done. That's why when you go to the criminal world, for us who are in prison, 80% of the people who are there, they are those who can't read and write. What that tells you that there is a high prevalence of criminality on the people who are not educated because of ignorance. Now, the next one is formal education. Formal education, a person who was like in senior 2 and committed an offense and has benefited from formal education and has finished senior 6, he will not behave the same way when he is released. Actually, when I was doing my master's, I did it in the effectiveness of the rehabilitation programs. And of all the programs, the research proved that education had the highest effect on the inmates, that 9 out of 10 of the people who get education in prisons actually go back to prison when they have left prison.
They go back to prison when they have left prison?
They are 1 out of, 9 out of 10, they don't come back. Only 1 comes back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because the more you go, you advance in education, is the more you look at life differently. And then the way, even the associates keep changing according to your levels of education. So this one is done, and it's a voluntary program for those who want to benefit. So that's why we run a school system from the kindergarten to the university level.
But just my worry isn't that one way of fueling criminal?
No. Do you know the purpose of universal education? We will target those ones. Remember, also, which is true, is that 65% of our inmates are youth. So if they have run away from education, the other side, for us we want educated Ugandans. So we are part of, we promote the government programs of universal education. That is what we capture. And like I told you, it is one of the rehabilitation programs that has had more successes than the other programs. Then of course we have vocational training as a rehabilitation program. Those people who go tailoring, metalworks, bricklaying, farming, crafts, fashion and design, all those are packed in the vocational training. Why? One of the other significant factors is that the majority of the people in prisons are actually unemployed in the pre-imprisonment time. And some of them, actually, those who would be employed, they are in farming. So that's why when we are looking at the background, if you have a background of farming, then we package your sentence term to be in the prison farm so that you perfect.
So when you're into farming, that's when you go to Chitalia?
Chitalia has 2 functions. Chitalia, we have a maximum security prison, which is an extension of upper prison, but we also have a farm. But in total, we have about 56 farms. So some are in northern Uganda, others are in western Uganda, others
prison-owned farms.
Yeah, prison-owned farms. By the way, we own the biggest chunk of government land as an institution, apart from maybe UA, because with the national parks could be bigger. But the government institution with land that where we even practice farming, we stand out as the biggest institution of government. So that's how the vocational training comes in. Then, of course, we do the other ones. You in the public, you don't see that. We do what we call rigorous discipline. That rigorous discipline is to reprogram the minds of these people. This person thought if I want to get a phone, I should run and pick.
You should just snatch it.
Now, but when you are put on that regular discipline, when do I sleep? When do I walk? When do I eat? What do I? So when you do the programming, it generates a sense of responsibility in the person, and it also minimizes crime. And of course, needless to mention, we have regular counseling. Some of these, especially women prisoners, find themselves in crimes of passion. They have an emotional imbalance.
Crimes of passion, please, can you break it for us? So
the crime of passion, you find that you ladies like killing the co-wives, your stepsons and daughters. You want to fight your husband, and in the process the husband dies. So there are normally crimes which come as a result of anger. That's why they call them crimes of passion. If it is your man, nobody should have him. If even when you have come in and you have find the man has 3 children, to you, you don't want your children to compete with any other children, so you must eliminate these children. That is what we mean.
Okay, Mr. Frank, I heard that this table here, like the chairs we are sitting on, they are made by those prisoners that should skill.
Exactly, that is vocational training.
Yes, so
now, the vocational training purposefully deals with the hands.
Yes. So
because it is prisoners which still employs what we call the triple H model: head for the knowledge, heart for the attitude, and hands for the what? The skill. So after taking them through the theory, why they are in prison, why they shouldn't have been in prison, and what they should do out of the prison, we give them what we call life skills. And life skills is doing the things which would be attractive that in the market, so that they keep them out of crime. Instead of wanting things for free, they should join production, and in production they get money, then there is no need for them to work for small money. So it is in this skilling that they make chairs, that they make these steel material fabrication, that they do shoemaking, they are doing tailoring, all those they are captured in this.
But who funds all these
That's government. That's government. It's part of the budget we get. We are paid because you see, when you belong to the government, an institution of government, when they give you these functions, we budget according to what we require. The only challenge that we get is that you will find that because of resources, the resource envelope, you will get about 45% of what you need. But that one should not stop you from doing what you are supposed to do. You will have constraints, but you will still perform your duties, because that's why we get the money from the consolidated fund.
Okay, Frank.
Yes.
I heard that these remanded prisoners, they make some money when they're in the prisons.
Yeah, according to the act, not only remands, you say prisoners, inmates. According to this act,
how does this money help them? Because we know they get free food, free accommodation, everything is almost free.
Now, according to section, that's why section 57, it clearly states that subject to the Constitution and this Act, a prisoner is entitled to the following: One of them, which is E, is to undertake meaningful remunerated employment. Now, it means when a prisoner comes, he's trained. First and foremost, we train. Some few come when they have the skills. Those ones start earning. But those who don't have the skill, we allocate them a discipline they are supposed to undergo. If it is farming, if it is carpentry, then they first train. Then when we graduate, because they get trained, they do trade tests. We are using the Nakao Vocational Institute to do that. Mubus does these entrepreneurship programs. So when these people graduate, then they start the earning scheme. Now the earning scheme is that a prisoner, like right now the money was improved a bit. The prisoner now works for 1,350 for skilled labor, about 900 shillings for same skilled labor, and about 500 shillings for unskilled labor. Unskilled labor, it is like you don't know anything, but you have got a hoe. They tell you dig from here to there. Doesn't require any skill. But if you're going to make this table, then somebody must first learn how to make this what? This table. And indeed, all this furniture you see here is made by prisoners.
So after making all this table, if I'm a prisoner, after making all this table, that's when you pay me one.
No. Work today. They pay per day worked.
Okay.
That money is per day worked. Now, here you say, but the government gives everything. I told you we are operating at 45% the budget. Now, and unfortunately, you find that out of 10 prisoners, only 2 get visitors. Those who get visitors get a visitor almost every day, but the other ones don't get a visitor at all. It means from the time they enter the prison until the time they come out, they must look up to how they buy their civilian clothes, how they get yes, for us you give soap, but we don't give toothpaste. We don't buy toothbrush. We give porridge, but we don't put sugar. If you want sugar, you must. So that money is registered, and they access that money as and when they want. What is interesting, that one I saw it when I was OC. At one time I was at the prison, and the woman came running, asking if the man had worked for some money because the children needed books at school.
The children she had left out.
The children the man had left at home with the wife. The wife came to the prison to ask for if this money has made some small money so that the children can go to what?
To school.
Yeah. And the man withdrew his money and gave to the wife to go and buy books so that children study.
That's why at the end of their sentences, actually, they don't even want to go out of these prisons, right?
No, well, depending on a prison, of course, there are too many other things which are not palatable for a prison life, because you don't go when you want to go, you don't sleep when you want to sleep. You know, psychologically, when you lack your freedom, it becomes very costly. It's like even if somebody came to your house and says, you're not going to leave your compound for the next 1 month, it becomes hell, yet it is your house. So, being in a prison has its complications, but that's how that money, after when they are working, that's how that money benefits them. By the time most of those people, when they are leaving the police to come to reach the prisons, they are in rags. But you have seen these people, when they are being released, they are putting on new clothes. Where do they come from? Part of the earning scheme. That's how even the remands request to join the groups which are working, so that because even if they have said you are going to be there 14 days, you go further remand, you go further remand. Now, so it means if you can be working, then it would help you also to get something. And besides, that work is interesting. One of the most difficult things is to tell you that sit down for 24 hours.
Dr. Waini, I don't think we can end actually this conversation, but actually maybe we shall need some more time so that we get to understand what is happening in prison. Because for us as people outside this way, we thought that when you go into the prison, actually the only one thing you can do is going to dig.
No. That's what I'm telling you. Look at this furniture.
I've seen it.
We are getting orders. By the way, under Bubu, we get orders per year of over 15 billion in furniture supplying. We have supplied finance, state house, parliament, and other more. Now, we grow cotton. We are now the biggest growers of cotton as a single unit, because the last harvest was 6,070 bales of cotton. We are the ones who have resuscitated the textile industry. That's why you see His Excellency these days puts on cotton fabrics, the garments. We are the people at the foundation of cotton growing. We are growing maize seed. We are contributing 30%. When there was a problem of production of maize because of adulterating seeds, people would go and get commercial maize and then paint it and sell, and farmers were getting losses. Then we entered the seed market. Now 30% of the seed on the market is being Uganda Prison Service. Actually, the latest instruction I can tell you, the president has ordered that all the land which is owned by Ministry of Agriculture, it should be handed over to Uganda Prison Service to produce food, for food security. And they are supposed to give us 50,000 acres. So we are a very, very productive institution of this country.
Yes, please. Really, this is so interesting, because for us we thought that when you're in the prisons, the only thing actually you can do is going to other people's gardens and dig. But the story is so different. Yes, and Mr. Baine wanted to become a priest. He ended up in teaching. And right now he's commissioner, Uganda Prison Service.
But still teaching.
Monica Nayoga is my name. Keep tuned in to Smart 24 TV.
A very interesting insight right there regarding the skilling into the prisons. Imagine you went to prison and you came out with a skill, but don't commit crime. Jerome Paul Sonko is right here, ready to drive youth through smart men's business, and coming up is the topic of discussion. And of course, the very man himself, Jerome Paul Sonko, will be driving you through that particular segment. And I'll be joining you again on Smb on ground. But this time around, we shall be looking at the impact of the rainfalls. Quite a lot of people have lost property due to the surge of the rainfalls that are falling literally on a daily basis. Stick around. Good morning.